Hello, hello, Otafest podcast listeners. I'm Angelo, and today I have Jay.
Yes, me.
Hello, Jay, and hello, listeners. We are excited to announce that Allegra Clark will be joining us at Otafest 2025. She is known for voice acting Bloodhound in Apex Legends, Beto in Genshin Impact, Maki and Miwa in Jujutsu Kaisen, Marissa in Street Fighter VI, Dorothea and Shamir in Fire Emblem Three Houses, Cynthia in Pokemon Masters. In addition to screaming into microphones in a small padded room, Allegra also enjoys making excellent use of her 15 plus years of vocal training by serenading her cat. Follow Allegra on X and Instagram at Simply Allegra.
Otafest welcomes the Calgary Food Bank at Calgary Food Bank as our esteemed 2025 charity partner. With your help, we're aiming to raise $15,000 for those in need. All proceeds from the auction are donated. Visit otafest.com/auction.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Allegra Clark. Beto is absolutely my favorite character in Genshin.
I've never played like more than 5 minutes of Genshin.
How
I don't even remember
dare
when I
you?
started.
How
What's
dare
a
you?
Beto? Please tell me.
Oh, Beto is
Beto
this
O'Rourke?
sassy, gorgeous, badass pirate lady with an eye patch and a
I see.
giant sword.
I do know what a bloodhound is.
Yeah, oh yeah,
That's
you've
some
played Apex.
Apex.
We've played Apex.
We've played Apex.
We have played Apex, and we've also played
I
Street
actually
Fighter
have
6.
I want to play Apex again kind of soon, so maybe. Do you still have it installed?
I'm not sure if I do. I think I do.
Maybe we'll get on that.
We could. Ooh.
And then Cynthia is probably my favorite Pokemon champion in the games, at least. Didn't watch the anime past like the very original series as a child.
Oh my god. I remember us talking about Ash Ketchum finally becoming a Pokemon Master, finally beating the Elite Four or whatever, and his story actually ending, and I was like, wow, maybe I should go catch up with Pokemon. I haven't watched it since whatever arc happened after the Orange Islands.
That's probably about where I stopped as well. Like, I know that he won the Orange Islands.
All I
The
remember
Lions of the
about the Orange
Eye.
Islands is that Brock stayed behind because there was a really
Yeah,
sexy
because
doctor lady.
yeah, Professor, I want to say her name was Ivy.
Potentially. I don't know.
That sounds kind of right. I remember she had blue hair.
Yes, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
It has been
There
a
were some interesting
long
episodes.
time. Oh my
There
god.
were some interesting episodes in the Orange Islands because I remember there was a island where there was fruit that all the Pokemon ate and made them pink.
Oh right, that was a thing. No, it has been so
Why do I
long.
know anything? I feel like I should have forgotten how to eat and breathe by now with the amount of completely useless knowledge that I've otherwise stored in my brain.
But the thing is, you eat and breathe every day, whereas Pokemon Orange Islands you probably haven't watched in 25 years.
Yeah, but like why do these things stick in my head? Like there was an island that had pink fruit. Turned the Pokemon pink.
There's fruit in the island that turned into the frickin' Pokemon pink.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was there, but I didn't want to say it.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh.
But yeah,
The
there you go.
internet
Our
is
first big guest announcement for 2025 in the year of 2025. Not our first guest announcement, but we
Yeah, we've
have
had
more
multiple
announcements to
guest
come.
announcements.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm excited though. Holy moly. Cosplayers, you have 4 months? Is my
about.
mathing?
Yeah, about
You have 4 months. You have
4.5.
4.5 months to get your cosplaying.
How does that make you feel? cosplayers.
I hope they feel stressed and no, they shouldn't feel stressed yet. They should currently be in their overconfident stage where they're like, yeah, I got 4 months. I can still draft the pattern. That's plenty of time to order fabric. The props will be. I can plan them out greatly. This is fantastic. They won't be stressing out for like another 2 months. At which point they'll be in the phase of, if I don't order things this week, they will arrive late.
So on that note, I I ordered something back in like mid-November,
Okay.
and it still hasn't come in yet.
Oh my.
Um, and I found out why. I was like, I'm tangentially keeping an eye on, you know, the tracking for this.
Oh,
And I think
mid-November.
it's
That would have been
because
because of the postal strike.
so at first I thought it was because of the postal strike, except the problem is I've been getting other things
Yeah.
that have come through. So it's not because of Canada Post. This came through, or it's supposed to be coming through DHL.
Oh.
And DHL, uh, at least for my package, it went through California.
Oh my.
California was burning down as recently as a week ago.
Yes. I'm
I have a
fairly certain
feeling,
some of the fires in LA are still going on, aren't they?
yeah, probably. I haven't kept that close of an eye on it, but I just feel like maybe mail sorting isn't their immediate priority.
I'm praying that the mail truck your package was on was not driving through North LA.
I just feel like I'm trying to give a cautionary tale to those ordering things that may come through the States. It might not go through California now, but it might be rerouted and it might take a little bit longer. So, no need to stress, like we were saying, but just plan, just accommodate.
You just have to be patient. You have to be really patient. I had one object that I ordered. I pre-ordered it back in June.
Hmm.
I pre-ordered it back in June, and it finally shipped.
Pre-ordered, you
I
say?
pre-ordered. It was VTuber merch.
Wow.
Wow. I pre-ordered it back in June. It finally shipped early November, and then about 3 days after it shipped in November, the postal strikes happened. And it was in fact coming by Canada Post.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting here. And I'm being like, doop, 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 doop. Oh my god. 3 days. It's coming from Thunder Bay, Ontario. And it could have potentially, in those 3 days, gotten from Thunder Bay all the way to Calgary.
Mm.
But because I
I
was cheap, I chose the shipping option that had no tracking.
ah, so it's somewhere in the world, probably.
So then I was feeling like, okay, well. The postal strike is happening. I'm not getting it anytime soon. And then the postal strike finally let up. Finally, was it on the 27th or 28th of December? I think it was around then.
No, it was earlier than that.
Was it
It was
right before
earlier than that. It
Christmas?
was it was around, I want to say, the 18th to 20th or something
No way that it let up that early. Either way.
of December. Yeah, it was about 6 weeks. So
I
something,
was like,
7 weeks.
okay, postal strike is over. Where's my merch? Where is my cute anime girl merch? So I'm waiting. A week goes by, and I'm thinking, well, we had 3 days before the postal strike. We've had another week now. I understand that they're going through the backlog, but it's got to get here soon. A second week goes by. We are now into the new year, and I'm thinking, where my merch? Where my anime girl? And I'm thinking of messaging messaging the people that ran the store, and I checked their FAQ, and they're like, haha, if you ordered through the untracked option, you're kind of boned.
So that's when you went onto your favorite streaming platform where the VTuber resides forever, and that's when you harassed them.
Oh, hell no, no. It actually
You
did just...
harassed them in person
It showed up.
on their own stream.
It showed up about 3
Oh.
weeks after the postal strike ended. I think it was the end of the first week of the year. And I was like, yippee, I finally have my merch. It was great. It was fun. It was wonderful. I just had to be patient. And the mail came through.
That's not. We live in 2025. I don't have time for patience.
Remember back in the 90s when you would order something through the mail and it would literally take like 2 months to come back?
Not really, because I don't think I sent anything in the 90s.
Never?
Maybe I had a school.
Like Scholastic's
pal.
book fairs or things like that?
Yeah, but I don't have any recollection. I have a recollection that Scholastic book fairs were fun. I don't remember if I actually made book orders. I probably did.
No, I totally did. Also, there were a couple times where I ordered Lego things through the mail. And like you send your money in the mail, you send your check, you send the thing, the order form and everything. And then it takes like, they're like, yeah, 6 to 8 months to get your thing back. And like 2 months later, it shows up and you're like, oh my God. Now we just order things and like in 2 days, it's here.
It's true.
It's crazy.
Ain't anyone
it's
got time for
crazy.
that. I exist in 2025, not 1998.
Exactly.
You know what happened in 2025?
Clock app is dead.
Goodbye, clock. Hello, clock.
The clock app is dead. Long live clock app. So, it finally happened yesterday evening. The TikTok ban in the United States finally went through after so much political shenanigans around it. Do you want a timeline of the political shenanigans around clock app dying?
I mean, go ahead.
So first, Trump signs an executive order to ban TikTok. This was in like his last month or week of being president. I can't even remember. Biden comes in and is like, that is presidential overreach. We're not upholding that executive order. But if Congress says to ban clock app, I will sign that law. And so attached to a humanitarian aid package was the TikTok ban, and Biden signed that. And then it went to the courts because ByteDance was like, no, we're not going to sell it. We're not going to sell it. If you guys want, say, sell it or close down, we're just going to close down. Everybody at that point is panicking. They're like, wait, what do you mean you're just going to let TikTok die? We don't want it to die. We want you to sell it. Why won't you just sell the platform? And ByteDance is, no, we don't want to. We don't want to. So it goes to the courts. The courts uphold the ban. They say, yeah, in cases of national security, these sort of bans are entirely fair. And that's where it was. That came up only weeks ago. ByteDance said they were going to be cutting off access, shutting down the servers on the 19th when they had to. And so last night, the recording on Sunday, recording on the 19th, around 8 p.m. our time, posts started showing up on Twitter that yes, TikTok is dead for the US. Some people in Canada were getting that notification as well. I don't know why. It still works for me. What was a little bit unexpected for some people, though, were Marvel Snap, a Marvel gacha game that is also run by ByteDance, and more surprisingly, a program called CapCut, which is a very popular video editing platform that was somewhat tied into TikTok, but a lot of people use it for YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, general video editing. Like, it was a pretty popular video editor. those are no longer accessible in the United States either. So this has been kind of big. Kind of big.
Was it because okay, not was it as in questioning it, but was it because these two other apps are also either owned or operated by ByteDance?
They're owned by ByteDance.
So is the ban specifically on ByteDance properties?
Yes.
Okay. It's not so much the type of app, but it is the proprietor of said app who is in violation.
That's what the law is saying. And that's one
Okay.
of the biggest reasons why people were like, this ban is bullshit. Why are you only targeting one company if you are worried about the company's ties to
Yeah.
the Chinese ruling party? Because if that's the case, well, then you have to start looking at companies like Tencent as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because Tencent is also a Chinese company. The Chinese party has ties to Tencent. So if you are worried about things like TikTok or CapCut or Marvel Snap stealing user data from cell phones, imagine Tencent, who owns Riot, where League of Legends is installed on actual PCs globe wide. They are clearly as much of a security threat as TikTok would be. There are so many other gotcha games as well that should be covered under this.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of. It's not even about like gotcha games and stuff like that. It's just
I
I
would go
don't
as
know
far as
what
to
the
say,
harvesting of info might be. Like, I haven't followed this very closely. I don't use TikTok.
yeah,
Uh,
that's fair.
I mean, it's not that I don't have any social media, but the social media I am on, I very I don't interact with it very much anyways. Um,
TikTok
but
is my bathroom app. When I'm sitting on the john, I just like to flick through videos. It's
that's
very
fair.
satisfying. Uh, but quite frankly, if they're worried about the information gathering, if they're worried about the foreign adversaries gathering that information, don't just target one company, target the behavior. And of course, they don't want to do that because companies like Google and Meta engage in that exact same behavior to the point
Hmm.
where Meta themselves, Facebook, spent $7.6 million in lobbying Congress to ban TikTok because Meta stands to potentially gain a lot of users to Instagram Reels as an alternative.
Is it Facebook banned in China?
Yes, 100%.
I've like this is not. I don't have a lot of say in this, but I feel like this is just also retaliatory. Retaliatory. I cannot pronounce things correctly today, but anyways. I mean, at the end of the day, in terms of like the content creation space that we're more interested in because we are monkey who like going poo while watching shiny video. Um, I'm a little bit sad about that because like I have Insta, I watch Reels, I get it. Um, but I feel like all of this, I'm not saying that there's not a national security question, you know, there's not breaches, there's always breaches.
Oh,
Something that
100%.
I am deeply interested in that I've talked about before briefly is like I love espionage
Oh, yeah.
um, as an entire genre of like human interaction. And I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that this is a concern, but I mean, I do agree that certainly ByteDance is not it's not collecting the information that I would believe to be the most vulnerable, shall we say? Like it has hundreds of millions of users, I'm sure, maybe more. but we're talking about mostly school kids,
Well, that's just the thing.
maybe some
Anything
young
that
adults.
TikTok was doing is exactly what Facebook or Google, or to another degree, like Apple,
Mhm.
companies like that are doing. It is the exact same behavior. Uh, and I would probably argue I trust Facebook or Google even less because in the case of Google, they are in at the operating system level of Android phones. Same with
Mhm.
Apple. That gives them a lot more control. Facebook
Mhm.
is exceedingly awful. Any website you go to that has a Facebook like button, Facebook is getting the information from that website. They
Mhm.
are damn near Orwellian in their surveillance of people,
But I also
but they
want to
just do it
point
to
out,
sell garbage ads.
yeah, like I want to point out the other thing, which is I'm I, I'm not a very conspiracy theorist kind of person because there's something else that I understand about data gathering, which is data is useless until interpreted,
Yes.
and the amount of information that would be harvested, shall we say, from the various apps and information, sifting through that information to actually find things that are actually relevant to, let's say, a government body's interests. I'm not saying that they're not monitoring certain people, but I will say that for the most part, it's a lot of uh interference.
Oh, there's so much
Just it's
noise.
there's not much going on.
There is a
They don't
reason why
care
companies
about your
like
your
Google,
uncle's rants on Facebook.
yeah, there is a reason why companies like Google are the forefathers, the companies most invested in machine learning and AI, because there is literally no other way to sift through the mountains of data that they've collected. They have
Hmm.
collected so much data that if you don't have AI to do it, to analyze it, it is so much that it is garbage. It is impossible to do
Hmm.
anything with.
I'm not saying we won't get
Facebook to
there
the
one
same
day, but
degree.
we're not there.
We're not there. Now,
Yeah.
there has been over the last, I would say, week, one very interesting one very interesting shift in the social media landscape. And that has been the shift from TikTok to RedNote. Now, RedNote, otherwise known as, I believe it is Zhao Hongshu, is effectively the Chinese version of TikTok. Because TikTok itself is banned in China.
Hmm.
TikTok does not exist in China.
Hmm.
RedNote
But I think
is
it doesn't
effectively
exist
the
in
same
China.
platform, but mainly for China.
Yeah. I don't really know what the reasoning is behind that. Um, but I do think it's funny because, like I said, I've never used TikTok. Um, but I really do kind of go on Insta, and Insta's been talking about what's happening, and there's some funny shit on Insta right now. Like people saying, if the US bans Red Note, I'm just gonna mail my information to China myself.
Oh my god.
They'll be like, here's my sin, and here's where I went to school. These are my three security question answers.
My fucking god. Oh my lord. That would be funny. That would be
And
funny.
because I believe Red Note is not translated in any way, there's
No, it
no
is not.
language change access. It's all in Chinese. So some people are like, I'll just learn Chinese. So like there's also Insta Reels where they're like, there's Chinese people going like, these are the helpful phrases for you to learn.
Legitimately, Duolingo has put out that they are seeing a massive, massive wave of people trying to learn Mandarin.
Here's the thing about that. Um, I see that as a positive
Oh, 100%.
because I by no, in no means am I like this is I want to say something very clearly. I said that I'm positive. It doesn't mean that I'm optimistic about the
No.
entire situation, but I'm being positive about the fact that I like the idea that people are willing to learn something in order to get their 5-second content fix. Learning a language is a good thing.
Learn
And if it's
language to spite your
Americans
government.
if it's Americans learning Chinese, I think that's actually possibly really important if any of them, and I imagine that, out of the large sample size, maybe even if it's like 5% of those people figure out that they're actually not bad at learning languages and they actually stuck with learning Mandarin, that's a good thing.
Oh yeah, 100%. There is a
It might
meme.
be,
There is a meme floating around the internet somewhere where it's like, you speak English because it's the only language you know. I speak English because it's the only language you know. We are not the same.
it's true.
And I think that is such like a powerful type of idea or thought. Even if you don't use it much, I think that learning another language is good.
Yes.
Having that said, I'm not much to speak on that. I barely know any French.
So I also barely know any French, but that's because I quit learning French as soon as they would let me.
Oh yeah.
Because I was an arrogant little child and I said, and I quote myself, I already know a second language. It's English.
Oh, in my case, I
Um,
was in French immersion until grade 4. And then my parents were concerned that I couldn't read either language. And they were like, okay, Angela, just focus on one. Come on. Come on, man.
Focus up. Lock in. Uh, you know, as someone who is somewhat bilingual, kind of not. I don't know how to describe it anymore because my Cantonese is not very strong. It's improved in the last little while, but it's not great still. And I'm stuck in that weird dichotomy of I can understand a lot more than my brain is willing to reinterpret and put through into my own words.
Oh, yeah.
But and kind of the same with Japanese where I have like vocabulary, like I have a dictionary vocabulary, but I don't have a lot of syntax in my head.
Ah, okay. But yeah, language
But
is like,
anyways,
if you don't use it, you lose it. If you're not actively speaking it or trying it or reading it, then
mhm.
you don't reinforce the language.
But I am constantly surprised. I don't know why am I constantly surprised because it's something that I have experienced many times over about how Anglophones generally only know English and that's all they care to know.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think it's strange. I think it's nice. Like, if there was a superpower I could have, it would be to perfectly understand and speak like every language. That would be like my dream superpower. That's not like flight and teleportation and like all that kind
Now
of
hold
stuff.
up
Like,
for a
if I could,
second. Would it be limited to human language? Would you be able to
I
talk to
mean,
animals, or would it be so vast that you would be able to hear grass scream as it's being cut?
see, here's the problem with understanding human or understanding like animal language. As someone who likes animals, I already kind of know what they say most of the time in a general sense. I'm not saying I know what they're talking like they're saying if they're just boofing, but like most animals I can tell you are saying like three things. Want to have sex? I'm hungry. Where's the food? And want to have sex.
Well, sometimes they're saying "fuck off."
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
also. My bad. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Look, you're more accomplished than I am. But
Exactly.
yeah, those
No,
are
I'm
like
pretty good. I'm pretty good
sorry,
at
those
that.
are the four things.
So yeah, you would limit it to
Um,
human language.
yeah, because animal language is like it's fairly basic across 99%. It'd be
Fair.
it'd be more interesting to be able to interpret body language across all species,
Okay.
right? Because then you could see if that's like a threat thing or if that's like a play language or whatever. But anyways, um, having other languages in my brain makes me worse at each language, but it makes me more enriched as a person.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Just as you were saying about like French or English, buddy.
Oh.
But yeah.
Oh.
Uh, Here is a language that everybody speaks. The Nintendo Switch 2 trailer finally came out. I don't know
And
what to think about it. Other
oh,
than
okay.
Nintendo was just like, uh, for anyone not following, there were a lot of very accurate leaks that were coming out literally a month prior to the official trailer coming out. Um, I didn't dive too deep, but you didn't have to. You could just go like Reddit, Nintendo 2, leak, and you would get very accurate things. There were everything from accessory makers, like third-party accessory makers. They had seeming like very accurate blueprints, things about like information about like buttons and how now the Nintendo Switch doesn't slide in the Joy-Con controllers. It clicks in on the side because it's magnetically attached. And that was something I saw 2 or 3 weeks prior to the leak.
fair. Yeah.
I was like, that's pretty good. That's pretty accurate. This whole Nintendo trailer, it was pretty. It was shiny. It wasn't very big on information. I don't think it was ever going to be. They just wanted people to like shut up and be like, look, the Nintendo Switch 2,
At some point,
here it
you
is.
have to get ahead of whatever leaks are coming.
But I don't think you really can in this day and age.
No, not really. All I know about the Switch 2 is that it has a kickstand built in finally. Wait, no,
Yes.
the first Switch had a kickstand, didn't it?
It has a kickstand, but the kickstand is substantially worse because this kickstand I actually do like. It's like this.
It's like a frame that pulls out from the back.
That's right. That's a
U-shaped.
good way to describe it.
Switch U?
It is U-shaped. Ooh,
Switch U. Oh my god.
Switch U.
Switch U.
Uh,
And the
but the current
the
kickstand is just a little tab that comes out. Like it's very much the definition of a kickstand.
All right, that's fair. Another thing, and I think this is a pretty cool feature, was that apparently the Joy-Cons now have an optical sensor in them, so you can use one of them at least, like a mouse.
Mouse mode.
Now
It's time for those FPS gamers.
Oh yeah. Imagine PC-like FPS gaming on the go. And honestly, like having one Joy-Con with a joystick and your like trigger buttons and such, whereas the other one has a mouse, I can totally seeing that being a really comfortable gaming mode. Because I have legitimately known people who will use a controller in their left hand for having your joystick for moving.
Yes.
Having your L and R, L1 and R1, L1 and L2 buttons on your fingers, and then they'll use a mouse for their gaming. I knew people who used that control scheme to play Overwatch at a very high level.
I didn't do that for Overwatch, but I used to do that for Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
Because on PC, I think on PC you can turn on an auto aim of sorts, but because I didn't really grow up with auto aim outside of like GoldenEye had auto aim on the
It's
N64.
frustrating.
I don't like it because I'm just not used to it.
No.
I'm not saying it doesn't make a player better. I'm just not used to it. I can pick and point point at heads, so I'm not bad. So whenever I was playing and we got into like fights where it's either like a heist fight or I'm just fighting another player, I would switch to mouse a lot of the time. I'm good at navigating really well with my controller, but like when it comes to I want to snipe this guy from 2 kilometers out, it's all about the mouse.
Yeah. 100%. I am
Something that
definitely
I
a
am
keyboard and
interested
mouse
in.
supremacist.
I mean,
But having that said, holding a controller, holding a controller feels better. It is more ergonomic.
It's more ergonomic. It's definitely not the or sorry, keyboard and mouse is probably not the most preferred method of control when it comes to games. I would say my split between games, especially when I'm at my PC where I have both control methods, is probably 30% is keyboard and mouse, if I had to guess.
For me, for FPSs, I prefer keyboard and mouse because it objectively feels correct. It is the muscle memory that I've been building up for 25 years at this point. But for other games, if I'm playing like a platform game or a 2D game or anything of that nature, holding a controller feels really nostalgic for that, even if it's not like an old controller. And I'm saying this holding a PS4 controller right now. That is the previous generation. But the PlayStation
you're a
4
PS4
controller
guy? Or you're a PlayStation controller guy. I didn't know that.
Well, there's a reason behind that. And I'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
The PlayStation 4 controller is, effectively speaking, the exact same controller that it has been since the late 90s. Like, it is not a perfect controller. I would argue that the Xbox controller layout is much better. I would even go as far as to say that the GameCube controller was perfect.
So,
But
on that really
it
quick,
feels good.
I feel like so I did not grow up on Sony controllers.
Okay.
I would have to go to a friend's place to play Sony. And while I don't hate the controller, well, I didn't grow up with the controller very much, like very often, is one thing. I do not like the layout as much, even though my brain has the plasticity for learning different controller layouts. And you mentioned the GameCube controller. The GameCube controller is really close to being perfect in the sense that it was the progenitor to the Xbox layout.
Yeah.
It has the almost it's like 95% the same layout on a basic Xbox controller, like a 360 controller. The only things it doesn't really have are actuating triggers where you can do pressure.
No, it does have
change.
that. The GameCube
I
controller
don't think it
absolutely
does.
has that. It does.
Triggers? It has shoulders,
Yes, the
but it doesn't have.
L and the R button on the GameCube controller, it had an analog input up to a certain point, and then it would click. Right at the bottom of the pull, it would click, and that was actually a different set specific input. Now there were games that most games didn't bother with that. There were a few
Yeah, I
games that
think that
actually
was
did
probably
take control advantage of that.
Because I will say also, I didn't own an Xbox or I didn't own a GameCube, but I did have a Wavebird controller for a while for my Wii.
Yeah,
So
they were
that was a
good.
good time. But I will say, so I've heard, here's the other weird thing. I am an Xbox controller person. I think that's kind of obvious at this point, but the layout is to me superior. The way that the thumbsticks alone are laid out is exactly what I want. The only problem I have with it is that I think on quality and features, the PS5 controller specifically is actually the better controller. I just can't, I'm not willing to pay the money for a controller that I don't feel comfortable with, even though I genuinely believe it has better
I have never
features.
touched a PS5 controller.
The things that it does, just these are just to be very clear, they're like extra features. I wouldn't
Okay.
say that they're core to your everyday gaming experience, but they do things like in certain areas of games, it reacts to the environment more than any other controller has ever done.
All right.
It does things like automatically it will tense like the triggers. For example, if there's something that is like, let's say a tense moment where like you're literally
That's
trying to pull
cool.
the trigger of the gun and then you're like
So it
it'll
has haptic
have more
feedbacks on the
resist.
triggers.
Yes, but not in the sense that it just vibrates.
It
In the
like
sense
actually
that it
has
actually
resistance on them.
exactly.
That's
And there's
cool.
other
Okay.
yeah, there's just like I don't know the whole list of features because it's been a long time since I looked. I haven't looked since I was like I'll commit to the Elite series of controllers for Xbox. But like I am impressed by those like ideas that they're implementing
Yeah,
at
that's
Sony.
fair. That's cool.
Um,
I will now tell you why I use a PS4 controller.
sure.
Because I am a broke bitch. So,
Nice.
eons ago, I think this was about 7 or 8 years ago now, back when I was working at The Source, a guy came in to replace one of his PS4 controllers because it was having problems. And under our replacement plan at the time, uh, for his controller, it was toss out his old one and give him a new one off the shelf. That was all well and
Yep.
good. But I, being the nosy bugger that I am, took the old controller out of the garbage, plugged it into my PC to see what is wrong with it. All he said was that it was broken. And so I tried using it, and it was fine. It was working perfectly. I legitimately don't understand what his problem was to this
Probably
very
just
day.
wanted a new one for some reason.
Now, quite frankly, that other controller was just going to go to the garbage.
Yeah.
So it went in my backpack instead. And I had been using that all the way up until about 3 weeks ago when it finally properly died. And the
Oh,
way that it died was the circle, square, and triangle buttons stopped working for some reason.
you might need those.
You might need those. To the point where I was playing Hades on stream, and someone was like, "Why are you only doing this one attack?" And I was like, "Well, because these other buttons don't do anything."
No, it's a new challenge I've implemented where I only use one attack.
Legitimately, I only thought the X button did anything in that game. No, you need all the buttons.
That's really good.
I was really
No
frustrated
wonder
with
you were
it.
taking so long to get through it.
I was a little bit frustrated, but
Yeah.
I now have a different PS4 controller because Dio, having wanted to play Final Fantasy 15 and Final Fantasy 7 Remake, bought themselves a PS4.
Hmm.
And they don't play it anymore, really, so there's another PS4 controller just unused. And the PS4 controller has really good support on PC now.
Hmm.
So I have a PS4 controller and I spend no money to use it. And it's great.
Uh, in that same vein, it's not. I have an Elite controller because, unfortunately, one of my friends let me borrow their Elite controller, and I was like, ah, crap.
Yeah, don't let me
But
touch yours. I don't
yeah,
need an expensive want.
it was an expensive one, but I got it on sale, so I feel a little bit better about it.
I
But
only
the
buy
point is going
144
back.
hertz monitors these days because someone exposed me to that, and I can't do that again.
Um, if I could, if it wasn't stupid expensive, because I have looked, if I could get a brand new inbox just because I want it for the longevity reason, I would love to get a Xbox 360 brand new out of the box again.
Oh yeah,
That controller is my peak controller. It was the controller that throughout my lifetime I have had many. I've had like those Logitech PS2 imitation type controllers.
yep.
I've had some Mad Cats. I've had a litany of everything. But even though I do love my Elite Series controller, that 360 controller is easily my most used controller, and not because it was like just an era of like I
They're the
played the most
most
games at that time.
supported. If
It
you
was
have an
just
Xbox
so good.
360 controller, it works in every game.
Yes, and it felt really good in every way. So much so that like the Elite series, I guess I could have just put the money towards. But I don't think I would have felt like the value in that proposition where I could have just taken the money from the Elite series purchase to a brand new 360 purchase because I don't know, it just feels
Wasteful.
weird to do
It
that to
feels like
myself.
you're backtracking.
Yeah. But that being said, I miss that 360 controller so much. The only reason I got rid of it was it did start dying, and I had worn off the thumb pad cushioning
Oh yeah,
entirely. Like it
100%.
would actually hurt my thumbs to play.
I have that feeling with the GameCube controller. Like I was saying before, it was basically a perfect controller. Specifically, what I liked about it that no other controller has done since is the face button layout was weird. It was weird. You had that giant A button, the tiny little B button to the side, and then the X and the Y buttons were like those bean shaped buttons. But when you're feeling it, you don't have to look down and decide, well, what button am I on? Because your thumb just naturally hits the A button. And if you design the game so that the A button is your primary button, your thumb is always there. And then you can just feel around for the other buttons. Now, to be fair, you can do that. You can do that on Xbox controllers and the PS4 controller. I'm holding it now. I know exactly where all the buttons are. But none of them are in the middle where my thumb lands, so I do have to try harder to hit the buttons.
Yeah, it's a
but it's a more
problem-
versatile layout. It's a more versatile layout for the Xbox and the PlayStation style.
The problem with the Xbox and Sony approach is that aesthetic really plays a key, or at least it does now. Whereas Nintendo has less shame about design. The people that they hire to design their stuff, at least back in the day, was like graphic design is my passion type people,
Oh, 100%.
you know?
And to be fair,
But-
that gives us wildly successful things. Like, well, the original GameCube controller was very good. The Nintendo Wii is the most unique control scheme, I think, for any console. It is just
It's either that
so
or the
weird.
N64.
The
where they give
N64
you-
was very weird. I don't understand
The
that one.
N64 built for the gamer with 3 hands.
For real. Like if you look at Nintendo controllers, the only things that are more weird than Nintendo controllers are the ones that are emulating arcade cabinets, like the Para Paradise or Space
for
Channel
sure.
5 controller, where it's like the 8 IR beams that you have to break, or
Yeah.
Nintendo again coming out with the bongos for Donkey Konga, I think it was.
That is true. Like the things that Nintendo does as a company, where they're like, I don't care if it doesn't seem like it's useful to anyone else, we're still gonna do it because we think it's the right decision for us.
It's more fun that way.
It is more fun that way. That is, we've said it before. You can't take. That's the one thing you can never take away from Nintendo is that
I hate Nintendo
They
so
are the
much,
masters
but
of
they're fun. They're fun.
I can't remember the last time I didn't have fun playing a Nintendo thing. To be honest,
Hey, you Pikachu.
never played it.
You should.
But I think I would love it still. I read funny enough
So
that you mentioned that.
frustrating.
I read recently that if you say the word PlayStation to Hey You Pikachu, he gets mad.
I believe that. I believe that. Well, we should go test that out. And we'll report back next week.
Sounds like a good time.
Bye.
Take care.